Hello everybody and welcome to EduCounts. So in this video we're going to learn how to find the product of the sum and difference. So this classified as the special case of finding the products of polynomials, and we are going to learn a new method instead of the methods that we have learned before. So let's get started and discover it. In the previous lessons we have learned about the FOIL method and the table method and the distributive property method. So if we are given an example like x plus 3 and another 1x minus 3, two brackets are multiplied together and we are asked to find the product, we have several ways to find the answer. One of the ways is using the FOIL method that we have learned before. So here we have the first term, or the left hand side, we have a binomial, which is two terms, multiplied by another binomial, which is two terms as well. But we can simply notice something here, which is in the first binomial we have x plus 3, and in the second binomial we have x minus 3. It looks like we have the same brackets, but we have only one difference, which is the sign. So the first one is a negative one, and the second one is a positive one. So that's why we call this process as finding the product of the sum and the difference of binomial. The sum is the left hand side, which is x plus 3, and the difference is the right hand side, which is x minus 3. So if we are given this example and we decide to use the FOIL method, we can use the FOIL method by multiplying first, which is the first two terms. It's going to be x times by x. So this would be x squared, okay? And then we're going to multiply the outer terms, and the outer terms that we have right now, which is x and negative 3, and this would be negative 3x. And then we have the inner terms, which is a positive 3 and times by x. This is give us 3x as well, but in positive case. And finally, we have the last two terms, which is positive 3 times by negative 3. So this would be negative 9. And we can simply notice that here, if we would like to write this in the standard form, we're going to write x squared at the beginning, okay, and then combine the like terms. We have negative 3 of something, or we have negative 3x, and we have a positive of the same thing. So since we have the same thing with two different signs, so we can eliminate them or delete them together. They are going to cross each other. So we don't have any terms with x right now, so we're gonna left with negative 9. So this would be the answer, and in this answer it has a special name. We called it as a difference between two squares. Why it's a difference between two squares? Because it looks like the first one, which is x squared, something is squared, and the second term is something squared. And basically we can notice that here the second term is 3 squared. So that's why we call this expression as the difference between two squared. Okay, so here we have some keywords we need to focus on when we are working with the product of the sum and difference. So we have the binomial, and in this case we are talking about this method, that the method we are going to explain in this video only works with the binomials. So we have a binomial, which is two terms like x and another thing, and any two terms, or maybe two a variable or two different variables, something like this. And the word product is finding the result of multiplication. And the difference of two squares is an expression written in this form: something squared minus another thing squared. And once we factor this later, and we're going to learn this in the upcoming lessons, would be two brackets, and those two brackets would be the same except the sign between the terms. Okay, so let's get started and take an example to understand this deeply. Here we are given that x plus 5 and x minus 5. Here we have the first binomial, which is two terms, x plus 5, and the second one, x minus 5. We can simply notice that the first term in the two brackets is the same thing, x and x. And for the second term, we have 5 and 5. The only difference that we have here, in the first binomial, we have positive. In the second one, we have negative. So instead of using the FOIL method and then combine the like terms, we can simply say that the answer of this process is going to be the first term squared minus the second one squared. So to find the answer, or to find the product of x plus 5 multiplied by x minus 5, since we have here the product of sum and difference, so instead of using the table method, the distributive property, or the FOIL method, which these methods are correct, but they will take a long time, so we can simply notice that this is the same as finding the first term squared. So what is the first term? Is x. so we need to square this minus the second term squared, which is 5. So this is would be 5. So here's the answer would be x squared minus 25, and always the answer is negative. So here's that's why we call this as a difference between two squares. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. Here is another example, or the steps that explains how did we get the answer of a squared minus b squared. As I mentioned before, if we used one of the methods that we have learned before, we can simply notice that we have two terms. They are the same, but with two different signs, so they are going to cross each other. So we're going to be left with the first term squared minus the second one squared. Okay, so that is the difference of two squares, and this is how do you find the product of uh, two binomials. They are the same, or in other words, how do you find the product of the sum and difference in when we are talking about the binomials or the polynomials that has two terms. So here's another example which is looks a little bit different, or with more numbers, or with more uh, coefficients. So here we are given that 3x plus 4 and 3x minus 4. So here you can notice that easily that the left hand side, or the first binomial, is the same as the second binomial, except we have here positive, and on the second one we have a negative sign. So we're going to follow the same way, which is finding the first term squared. But here you should be careful, because the first term is not only x, we have 3x as a first term. So we need to square this, okay? And then we need to find the square of the second term. The second term is 4, so we need to square it. So how to find the square of 3x? We need to find the square of the number, which is 3. 3 squared is going to be 9. And the second one, which is x, is going to be x squared. Okay, and for the second term we have a number 4 squared, so this is would be 16. And you need to remember that the square of something is multiplying that thing by itself. So we are not multiplying the number by the 2, we are multiplying the number by itself, or whatever it is. So this should be multiplied by itself. Okay, so the answer would be written in this form: 9x squared minus 16, and there is a difference between two squares. Okay, here's another example with two variables. We have two binomials, and we have the first one the same as the second one, except the sign. So what we're going to do here right now, we just need to find the first term square root. So what is the first term? Is 2x. So we need to find the square of 2x minus the square of the second term, which is 5y. And as I explained before, to find this, we need to find the square of the number. So this is would be 4. And the square of the x is going to be x squared minus, here's we need to find the square of the 5. So this is would be 25. And for the y, it's going to be y squared. And you are done. So there's a shortcut way to find the answer instead of using the FOIL method, or one of the methods that we have explained before. So thank you for watching this video. See you next one.